Hi.
Hello.
Very good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Thank you for joining
everyone.
us today. Yes.
How are you,
Now,
Elena?
I'm good. How are you, Shalida?
I'm good. Great.
I'm really excited for today. And I hope that everyone who's here today share our excitement as well. So before we begin, let us just take the let everyone in, and also some housekeeping rules. So first and foremost, as shared in the chat, everyone, you will actually have to go to the and join our course with the access code as well. As many, this hands-on workshop. So that's why we will need everyone to join in to the course and then do it together with us. So my colleagues will be sharing the links and the access code in the chat box. So please head over to the chat box and yeah, get on with it. All right. And also, apart from that, we will also be using the chat for any interaction. So if you guys have any thoughts, any questions, then you can also put it in the chat box or in the Q&A box. Shaliza and I will be going through those towards the end. But if you have any burning question that you need to ask on the spot, feel free to just do so, and our team will also get to you if, let's say, Shaliza and I missed out your comments or your questions. So while you guys are doing that, let me just also take the time to sort of introduce ourselves. So here with me today is actually Shaliza. So I'll pass the time to her for her to introduce herself.
Hey, hello there. I'm Shaliza. I am one of the learning designer at OpenLearning. And today I'll be conducting this workshop with Elena, and I will mostly be doing from module 2 onwards. And like Alina said just now, all you have to do is just click on the link of the workshop in the chat box right now. And if you are not logged in into OpenLearning, just log in, sign in to your account, and then click join. And then you'll be asked to key in the access code to join in the workshop, and then you'll be in. Okay.
So yeah, now back to myself. Okay, I'm Elena. So for those of you who have not seen us before, so like Shaliza, I'm also a learning designer in OpenLearning. So my background is actually quite. I have experience in terms of psychology, education, and also IT. So in today's session, what we're going to try to achieve here is that we want to be sharing thoughts and what we do here, and are able to create an artifact. Without further ado, let me share my screen. We are in course. Can everyone see my screen? Shaliza, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see it now. Yep. All good.
All right. So yes, I hope that everyone is already on this page and in the course with us. So you should be seeing this. So we will be using this course throughout the workshop. As mentioned earlier, a warm welcome again. So today, this session is enough, and there's a link in the chat together with the access code. So we hope that everyone is able to access it. I know that
Alina,
lagging, am I right?
Alina, I think you're lagging a little bit.
Yes.
Yes. Do you want me to help share the screen, and then maybe you can turn off your video so it's the line is smoother?
Yes. Okay. In case
I can just share your screen in a bit. Just give me which screen? Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Hello, am I back?
Hey. Yes, you're back. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can. Is it clearer?
Yeah, it is. It is okay now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, let us continue on with this. As mentioned, this is the course that we will be having. And I would like everyone to also be in the course. So this is actually the workshop where we'll be conducting the how to actually design learning activities with unique learning artifacts. So as mentioned earlier, this whole point of the workshop is basically to share experience and also to provide some clarity because throughout the entire week, since last week and yesterday, we understand that there's a lot to unpack when it comes to micro-credential. So that's why we hope that, in this workshop, we'll be able to share our thoughts and our opinions. And at the same time, we will be going through this workshop through a scaffolding manner because, we really want to make sure that everyone is clear and able to follow through. So just a quick, like the session kind of thing is that why we actually have this workshop is because in accordance to the OpenCred framework, all the OpenCred courses needs to have at least one learning artifact, one unique learning artifact. And that's why we wanted to do this workshop so that we will be able to help everyone who actually wanted to develop their own micro-credential courses to actually be a step closer, so that you know what to do and what is to be expected. So moving on, Sadila, if you could scroll down a little bit. So that's why in this workshop, what we are trying to achieve is that we wanted to share with everyone here that, what are some of the learning characteristics of the unique learning artifact. We'll also be exploring the examples, how we are able to produce them or how we are able to help your learners to produce them. And at the same time, we are also going to show how your learners' unique learning artifact will be automatically collected in our open learning feature, which is the digital portfolio. And at the same time, we can get access to the open learning activity design template for unique learning artifacts. And also, because the aim of this workshop ultimately is actually to create one learning activity that will enable your learners to produce learning artifact, unique learning artifact. That's why this is what we'll be expecting, throughout the workshop. And again, because this is a hands-on workshop and there's only 2 hours, we will try to keep it simple and straight to the point. So if there are any question that you have right now, you can just post it in the chat or you can just post it in the Q&A box. Yeah, Shadiza, is there anything else you want to add on to this?
Nope. You've explained everything so far. But just bear in mind that this is the final thing that we'll be doing in this workshop, and we would really appreciate if you can all join in the course so that you'll be able to interact and connect with all of us in the course as well.
Yes. So let us move on to the first activity that I would like everyone to be doing it together. Because as mentioned, just like in your physical face-to-face training, you will always have an icebreaker activity. Shadiza, if I could get you to press on the next page.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Also, could I also get someone to on the camera because I think my connection is much better now. Okay, so for this icebreaker activity, in the physical training, the face-to-face one, is that basically, you go around the room and then you get everyone to sort of like share what's their name, where you come from, you introduce yourself to sort of break the ice a little bit. So to us in our icebreaking session here, what we're going to do is that we want to get to know everyone through the food that you enjoy the most. Now,
Yes, we all love food.
yes, exactly. Because understanding that, because everyone comes from different background, so we thought that, food is actually one language, that actually unites all of us together, regardless of your background, your experiences and so on, apart from music, of course. So yeah, that's why we think that food is like a universal language, for all of us to get to know one another. So what we would like for all of you to do in this course, I will be doing it as well. Yeah, and Shaliza as well. So what we're going to get you guys to do is that, imagine yourself in a cooking challenge, for example, like in MasterChef, now you have a mission to create a dish of your choice. But the sort of like the twist here is that the dish needs to have the ingredient of eggs, onions, and tomatoes. Okay, so now here's what you need to do. You need to first post an image of the dish of your choice in the section below. Okay, and then you need to include a short list of other ingredients needed to recreate your dish. Shaliza is on it right now. Yeah, and also we like to know why you choose to make this dish. So for example, like myself, I'm going to post in the course as well, so you guys can take a look later. So what the dish that comes to my mind is actually the seaweed soup. Are you guys, do you know what is a seaweed soup? Are you guys familiar with the idea of it?
Seaweed soup?
Yes. Okay, let me just post the image here as well. And I also would like to explain a little bit, for example, so the image that I've chosen is actually seaweed soup. Okay, the other ingredient, apart from the eggs, tomato, and onion, is that we need water. Okay, and then we need the seaweed, of course, because it's a seaweed soup. And at the same time, we either need some chicken stock or, anchovy stock as well. So let me just post it here. So we need other ingredients. We need water, seaweed, chicken stock. All right. And I will also be posting, what are the reasons that I chose this dish, out of so many other dishes out there, So the reason I chose this is because this is actually a comfort food for me, especially when you are not feeling too well, or you just miss home. Yeah, so this is the dish for me. Okay, let me just put it here. And it reminds me of my late grandma as well. She used to cook a lot for us. And every time you feel a little bit blue, this is where the dish to go to. Yeah. Comfort food, and reminds me of my late grandma. Okay. So I'm just going to post it here, and then you guys can refresh, and then you can see my post. What about you, Shadiza? What did you choose?
I'm trying to find an image on Omelette because I would also I feel like when I'm looking at all these three ingredients, the first thing that I think about is omelette. And one is because I would choose this this dish is because we love eggs here. And it's like a staple in our house. And also it's very easy to make. It's very fast. So, and there's not much of the other ingredients that I would add to it, but I can add it could be a lot of other things like sausages or chicken slices to the omelette as well.
Nice. I will add mushroom too.
So now we can see Elena's posting. Oh, so that is how it looks like. Water, seaweed, chicken stock.
Yes. So basically you have all the three ingredients, you have the eggs, and then you have the tomatoes. So some of you might be wondering, where is the onion?
Oh yeah, Eugene has also posted.
Yeah. So where is the onion? Some of you might be asking me, in this soup, where is the element of the onion? So now to put all of you off a little bit, the onion is the last thing that I'll be doing, where I'll sprinkle this fried onion on top of the soup. So there you go.
Ah.
So that is the dish, that you have tomatoes and you have eggs and you have onions. So the three main ingredients.
Okay, let's see if we have, we have ball. The same as me, tomato omelette.
Nice.
Salt and pepper to
Let me have
taste.
a look as well.
That's a lot of tomatoes. Nice.
Oh,
baby
wow.
spinach. That would be super good. Okay, let me refresh
wow.
again and again.
Yeah. Atika, what did you share? What's this?
What is this? Oh, that's the.
What do you call that?
It's like I think I've
coming up.
Yeah, I saw this before. It's like is it
Oh yes, shashuka. Yes, Atika mentioned in the chat.
Oh, she did.
Oh yes.
Okay.
This is really good.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
So the other ingredients are olive, garlic, spices, cumin, paprika, cayenne.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, nice.
It'd be great. Oh yes, Kim is saying that all these recipes are making her hungry. Yes, me too. I hope you guys already had a heavy breakfast, and also, I think with all this done, when everyone posted their favorite recipes, I think we can actually come up with a cookbook, an online version cookbook recipe. So let me just quickly move on to the rest while you guys continue to, make your posting and all. So once we are done with this, I would also like to now get everyone to sort of like review and reflect, what you have done now in terms of the icebreaker. So you introduce yourself, you have shared an image, and then you have shared the other ingredients. And at the same time, you also shared, the reason why you chose this out of so many different recipes out there. So for us, we would like to understand, what is that one thing that you take away or you have learned from these submissions? I'm not just talking about your own submission, you can actually click and like what Shaliza and I were doing earlier, we click and then we go into other peers submission and then we look into it to see, what they have chosen, what are their thoughts behind it, the motivation, the rationale. So I hope that all of you would also do the same and also post in the chat in a comment section below. Shaliza, if I could get you to scroll down a little bit. Yes, so in the comment section, we would like to understand, what is that one thing you learned from all this submission? So if you could quickly do it now, for those of you who are done. Oh, Stella enjoys sashuka too. All right, so if we could, get those of you who are done with the, icebreaker activity to actually do this. Can you just share with us, what is that one thing you learned from all this submission? It could be, the recipes that's involved, or it could be the reasons, or it could be something else, anything that catches your eye or, get you thinking about this submission. Would yours be, Shaliza?
What's that again?
What would you learn? What have you learned actually throughout all this submission? Yeah, what's that one thing that you have learned?
One thing for sure is I've learned some new recipes. I think I've learned something from Atika, and that has actually sparked me a new idea of, maybe for dinner tonight. Also, I've seen that people have like shared things like based on their experiences or maybe something that relates to what they usually do in their real in their life, like in their daily life, like what they eat, things like that. And also depends on, the background, like the culture of us, like if we are Asian, maybe we prefer some, some way of cooking eggs and something like that.
Yeah. So for me, I do love you as well. You learn about other people's culture, and also you see, how food really bring all of us together. But at the same time, as what I've posted in the comment, if you guys could just refresh the page, then you'll be able to see that my takeaway or what I've learned from viewing all this submission is that it's the same ingredient that you all need to have. But at the same time, there's so many outcomes, right? Like, everyone do so many different things. Like for me, it's a soup. I love soup. Okay, then maybe for Shaliza, she and her family love eggs. So that's why omelette. And then for Atika, she did the shashuka because it's introduced by her friend. So there are so many different variables and outcomes to the same instruction that was given. So I hope that, we will hold on to this thought and then we will move on. As we go along, then you will see the connection of why there is a need for this activity. So let's hang on to that momentum, and then we will now move on to explaining more about what is learning artifact and what is unique learning artifact. So let us move on to the next module, and I'll pass the time to Shaliza.
Okay, before that, I'm going to stop sharing for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next module is going to be on what are unique learning artifacts, and we're going to learn how to connect things. I'm going to share my screen back right now. Okay. Okay. So now we are thinking about what are unique learning artifacts. So we still don't know what that is yet. But before we go into that, let's look at this, what is mentioned on OpenCred Malaysia framework about learning artifacts. So in OpenCred, courses, we should at least have one artifact that is linked to the course learning outcomes. And the education provider should also ensure that all the evidence created is sufficient and it produces a quality and quantity of learning evidence to meet its requirement, which is like would be the course learning outcomes as well. And also at OpenLearning, we believe in social constructivist pedagogy. And OpenCred should also be centered on development of deeper learning opportunities that will involve critical analysis of new ideas and experiences. So it is more of a non-corrective approach than a corrective approach to assessment, which will limit the application and transferability of the skill and knowledge. We also encourages experiential learning in our online activities, which can help learners to become more familiar with situations, problems, scenarios, and they can also reflect meaningfully and construct and discuss their own solutions and concepts, and then creatively apply this new knowledge in meaningful ways. So that is what's said on OpenCred Malaysia framework. So what are unique learning artifacts? To do that, we are going to look at some of the samples of unique learning artifacts in this activity. So this activity, excavation in progress, we're going to look at these 3 sample courses, right? And then we'll be doing this. We'll be looking, you can select one of the sample of these courses, and then you will look at the learning outcomes, content, and learning activities submitted on the page. And then you will go through these questions and try to see if you can, or maybe share your thoughts on what you think based on these questions. So, but before that, I think I should show you each of these courses. So this one is Finding My Passion, is from a course, a portfolio course for OpenLearning's course. In this course, so when in this course, you'll find the mission statement here, and you can view the learning outcomes here. So mission statement, this mission statement is just the text. So click here to view all of the learning outcomes. So for this one, this is the learning outcome. So it's at the top of the page, each of the pages. And then if you scroll down, you'll see all of the other learning activities. Sorry, all of the learning activities. For this case, in this page, it has 3 learning activities. So this is the first one. And this is the gallery of the students' submission. And then if you scroll further down, you'll see the second activity here. And this is the gallery of the learner submission. And scroll further down and you'll see the last activity, connect and apply. And the submission is on the commenting thread here, commenting section here. So, and that's the end of it. So there are 3 submissions and 3 learning activities in this course, in this page, sorry. Okay, so that is the first sample. And the second sample is, I'm just going to close this tab. Okay, so this one is Introduction to Ecotourism. There are 2 pages that you have to view here. So I'll explain to you about the course a little bit. So the first page is the instruction page. And this is where a 5-finger pitch activity is. So in this activity, you'll see the instruction here. And you'll see that the learners will have to come up with this 5-finger at the end of this course. They will have to submit something that looks like this. And they will go through the course to do each of this finger in each of the modules. So this one is module 1, this one is in module 2, module 3, module 4, and module 5. And if you look at click on the learning activities tab here, you can do this if you want to. You'll see that the instruction page is at the beginning of the course. And you see that the learners will have to go through all of these pages and activities to reflect on module 1. And that's where they will do their first finger challenge. And then the second finger is here. Third finger is here. So they have to go through all of the content activities until they get here, where they will share the final product of this activity, which is the 5-finger pitch. So it will look like this. Oops, okay. Of course, you'll see like all of these submissions too, but that's okay. You can click on these submissions to see what they have submitted and how did they get there. Okay, so that is the second sample. This third sample is almost similar to the first one in terms of it's only 1-page activity. The same one, you can find the learning outcome here. So in this case, the learning outcome is right here at the bottom. And if you scroll down, you'll see that this page has 2 activities. One is here. And this is where the learners submit their sharing. And the second activity is the reflection activity, which is here. And here is where the learners sharing are. Okay, so then you'll go back and think about, share your thoughts on all of these, like the course title, the learning outcome, if you see any learning artifacts, and then if you think that learning outcomes contain learning activities and learning artifacts, how do they relate to each other? So we can take about, do you think 10 minutes is okay, Elena, for this?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, let's try 10 minutes.
Again, yeah.
You want to add something?
Oh no, just to sort of recap, because there's quite a lot of things in the the sort of like the sharing points here. Yeah. So again, we just like to get all of you to choose one of the activity. Yeah. So you have to share with us, which one you chose out of all the 3 that Shaliza has shared. So we would actually also want you to look at the learning outcomes for that particular activity that you have chosen. And then we also want you to see if there's any learning artifact, So
yep.
Yeah, we will get you to look at all those, and then you can just share your thoughts here. And we will be guiding you as we go along. So do not worry, if you think that, oh, I don't know exactly what it is yet. Embracing, the concept of learning experientially. So that's why we want all of us here to do it together so that we are able to experience it for ourselves as well.
Yes. Thank you, Alina. Okay, so let's take 10 minutes to do this. Have you done it, Alina? Let me just let me see if someone has done it.
I like the one with the second page, the one with the 5 fingers.
Yeah, that one is interesting because it involves like the whole course. And 5-finger pitch is like something quite effective, an effective way of writing your pitch, because looks like it's all organized and easy.
Yeah, so it's the 5-finger pitch. So I'm just gonna. How about the rest of you as well? Chosen.
Let's see if we have
You can just share with
questions.
us in the chat if you like. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have questions, please just share it in the chat.
Or if there's any area that you would need help, you can also share in the chat. So the rest of our team will actually help to guide you as well in making sure that you actually have access to this. Yeah. What about you, Shaliza? Which one will you be choosing?
I really like finding my passion. Because it's very interesting I feel like it's very interesting because it's making me share my hobby and also getting me to sort of get to know myself. Like what is my passion as what the activity said. What do you like? Like what is your hobby?
I have a lot. But I think the one that I've shared with most of you is crocheting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like hands-on kind of hobbies. Yeah, like arts, and yeah, you can crochet like any different designs that you want. So yeah, that's fun for me. But a lot of people will say that it's like a little bit weird, I guess. For someone young to be crocheting. Yeah, but it's really relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
I
is.
oh, sorry. I saw that Bethany also posted that she has to go because
Yeah,
of
thank
work.
you, Bethany. I saw
Yeah,
that
thank you,
too.
Bethany. Yeah. Yes, the session will be recorded, so don't worry about it. Anyone anything yet?
I will keep on refreshing this page to see if anyone has shared anything.
And maybe in the meantime, while we wait for that, shall we move on to the next one?
Okay. I think we can wait a little bit more.
Okay.
It can take a bit of a time to go through all the learning activities to understand.
Yeah,
it's just to see looking at the learning outcome, content, and learning activities, and see if we can see any learning artifacts in the page and see how it is linked to each other. There's no right and wrong in this question. It's just to get what your thoughts are. Okay, we don't have any submission yet. I'm going to give it like maybe 2 more minutes, and then we can continue. Oh, yay, there's one submission from Mashita.
Hey.
Okay, let's take a look at it. Mashita said the course that she chose is Finding My Passion. And then the outcome is write a mission statement. She can see that some participants submitting their passion and interest. Yes. And then how she thinks learning outcome content and learning activities, learning artifacts relate to each other is that the activity on this page is leading me towards writing my mission statement based on my passion and interest. There is not much content on this page, but I can see how the activities are guiding me. The activities provide opportunities for me to express my opinion, and these are unique to me. So that's how she see that all of these are connected. So the activity is leading her to create her mission statement based on her passion and interest. So because the last activity on that page is to get the learner to create or to come up with the keywords, to find the keywords from all of the other activities on top, to see what their passion really is. So thank you, Marshita. That is interesting. Can I try to refresh again to see if we have any more submission? Okay, so no, but thank you to those. Maybe you are still trying to post your answer. It's okay, you can still post it and we will all be able to come back and reply to each other. So do you want to continue to the next one, Elena?
Yes, but before that, do you want to sort of get everyone, or maybe you yourself, to explain, like, you know, how?
Well, we can do that too. So so if we look at this, like, let me find one example of the activity. Let's take this one, ecotourism pitch challenge. So we can see that in this activity, the learning outcome is to get the learners to critically discuss issues. There are two learning outcomes that is stacked here. One is the key concept and principles that underpin ecotourism, and the other one is to recognize and discuss a range of issues associated with running an ecotourism business. So if we look at this activity, you can see that the instruction here comes at the beginning of the course. So throughout this course, the learner will actually have to to come out with first the enterprise and the impacts. The learners will actually have to go through all of the content on module 1. So once they have learned all of these, there are contents and as well as activities. Once they have gone through this, they will do like sort of a reflection at the end of module 1. That is when they will come out with, so this is like the reflection that they did on what they have learned on module 1. And then they will come up with finger 1 and finger 2. So they wouldn't be able to come up with finger 1. I mean, they might be able to come up with finger 1 and finger 2, but it may not be based, or it may not be based on what the learning outcome is trying to get them to, like the objective of this course. So and then later they have to go through all of the content and activities on module 2, and then again reflect and come out with finger number 3 and number 4, and the last one is number 5. And then at the end of the course, they would have this 5-finger pitch challenge. Let me just show you one example of pitch. Okay, so this learner, she shared that camping is the eco, what do we call it? It's what she chose, the activity. And then the positive of it is relaxing, improve mental health, reduce stress. The negative is overuse of trails and campsites, create mud. So she came up with finger number 2 after she had learned about all the negative effects that ecotourism can bring to the environment. And also we can have broken branches, even though all of these are the things that we didn't know that is like a negative effect, but it could be a negative because we are disturbing with the nature and the environment there. And then she also said that the third finger is avoid making campfire. So this is like how they can, what is like the solution or the suggestions of what to do to avoid the negative effect. And then she also had to learn about the market of this tourism. And she stated here it's campus. And then the last one is campgrounds. So if we look at the other submission, we can see that a lot of learners came out with different places, different strategy, the effects also, and also a lot of different ways to actually solve this, or a lot of different ideas to as a suggestion of what we can do to help make tourism better, or not to have the negative effect on the environment. Okay, so that is example from the 5-finger pitch challenge, and we can see that the idea here is to see that how learning outcomes, the content that is given on the in that case, it's like the whole course, and the learning activities are helping the learners to actually create the unique learning artifacts, or the learning artifacts. In that case, in that 5-pitch challenge, it would be the final 5-finger. So they have come up with that after going through all of the content, all of the activities, and then also it is it is aligned to the learning outcome. So they have achieved the learning outcome by doing that particular activity.
So yes, I think yeah, like what Shaliza mentioned, the idea here is that we want all of us who are here today to be able to experience the entire process, from the outcome, the content itself, and also the activity and what is being produced from those activities. So this is actually like a whole ecosystem to it. That's why this is where we actually would term this whole entire system or steps as a learning artifact. So that's how all of us would actually create learning artifacts, or will be able to produce an activity that will help the learners to create all these learning artifacts. So if we could actually go down further, Shaliza, if I could get you to.
Can I just show like these two learners
Yes.
submission?
Yes, please.
So Eugene Pua, thank you very much. He submitted, so he also chose Finding My Passions, and he can see a lot of learner submission there. And the learning outcome is very straightforward. So this is how he thinks the connection of all these 4 things. It's straightforward and clear. The learning activities has a lot of questions to prompt the learners into uncovering their passion and eventually create their own personal mission statement. Thank you, Eugene. Okay, let's see what Atika. Atika chose Creative Learning Design Challenge, and she can see a lot of learning artifacts from other learners. There are interesting ones. And then she also said that she thinks that the activities relate very much with the activity where we plan, design our own activity. Okay, so it's like the first practice on how to be creative on designing your activity. Thank you, Atika. Okay, so now we can move on to the next one.
Yes.
And I will pass that to Elena. Oh, you wanna say something?
No, in a way, it's good that the sharings are slowly coming in, and I think everyone is also getting the idea of how it works. Like looking at the cost, the sample cost, and then the outcome, the content, and the activity. I think everyone is slowly starting to get the idea of it, and that's why I think now it's a good time for us to move on to the characteristics of unique learning artifact. In short, we call it as Oola. So because we have now have a rough understanding about what learning artifacts are and how they are being produced, then we can actually also go into the definition of what makes a learning artifact unique. So here we've already prepared that unique learning artifacts are produced when learners are learning actively, exploring, discussing, and meaningfully constructing new concepts and relationship that involves real-world problems that are relevant to learners. So I know that is like, wow, such a mouthful kind of definition. So in order to make it much simpler for all of us to digest, I think here we have already prepared a diagram to show all the 5 characteristics of Oola. So the first one to click on the hotspots is actually align. So when we click on align, so what do we mean by align here is that we are very much into the idea of constructive alignment. And I believe that for those of you who have joined us throughout this whole symposium, you've heard our speakers, our panelists, everyone has been talking about it, constructive alignment, constructive alignment. So in short, the characteristics of Oola is that the unique learning artifact that's being produced by your learners should be having the elements of constructive alignment, in which it is aligned to your content, to your course outcome, and at the same time to the learning activities. So this is something very important that we all need to look out for. Now, let us move on to the second characteristics, which is being authentic. So what do we mean by authentic? Is the produced by your learners have to be authentic. So what do we mean by authentic is that it is able to help the learners to demonstrate, new concepts or new ideas. And also to be able to help the learners to also showcase to us, whoever who is, creating the course, or to their future employers, or anyone out there, that this is what I have learned. This is the process that I have learned, and I have mastered this concept. So before I move on to the third and fourth and fifth characteristics, I want to point out that, Shaliza and I and all of us here at OpenLearning, we believe that the two main or most important characteristics to have in order to produce the unique learning artifact is actually the alignment and also being authentic. So these are the two key things that makes it a unique learning artifact. Not just a learning artifact, but a unique. So having that, we will move on to the third characteristics, which is to create. So the unique learning artifact is being produced through an activity that allows learners to create this artifact. Yeah, that means your activity itself, it is a form of opportunity, or it enables your learners to be able to create something. So the moment when they are able to create, that means they are actually producing that unique learning artifact. So that's why you need to keep that in mind, that your learning activity itself should be able to help learners to create something. So I'll come to that later to sort of like wrap it up in a bit. But the fourth one, we want to go into the fourth characteristic, which is to apply, where the unique learning artifact that's being produced by the learners should also showcase that there is real life application. Learners are able to apply the mastery of the concept, the new ideas, the new knowledge, or maybe to even enhance their existing knowledge through the learning activity that or being developed in a way that requires them to apply it into their real life. And that is what we want to see, right, in the learning artifact, or the evidence that is being produced from those activities itself. And finally, the
Elena,
unique learning. Yes.
If you can, you are lagging a little bit. Can you turn off your video again?
All right. So sorry about that.
Okay. Yes. Okay, the last one is progress.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the last one is progress. So in progress, what we are trying to say here is that the unique learning artifact that's being produced by your learners should be able to also project or indicate to us, the educator, the course developer, as a form of progress. That means how well your learners are doing. For example, like the sample that is being showed by Shaliza earlier, where they have to do a few different activities, and then in order to come up to a mission statement. So that entire activity is actually showing progress, how they actually derive to that final outcome of that mission statement activity. But on the other hand, it also allows learners to also look at their own progress. That means they can always go back to the portfolio feature that we have here in the OpenLearning platform, that you're able to view back your own progress, how well you have done so far. I noticed that maybe in this particular component, I've not done so well, so I can always go back to it, and to try to relive the entire concept of it, and then try to see if there's any way that I can do it better. So all in all, what I'm trying to say here, or what we are trying to explain here, is that there are these 5 characteristics of unique learning artifact. And this is what we are looking for, especially for those of us who wants to build your own micro-credential using the Open Creds framework. because it is one of the requirements in the Open Credits framework that all the Open Credits courses need to at least produce one unique learning artifact. And this is what we mean by it. So I hope that this actually provides a much clearer clarification in terms of what we are actually looking for. And at the same time, this is how we are defining the unique learning artifact. And I'll pass the time back to Shaliza, because then she will be able to show each and every one of us who are here today some samples of the learning activities that will enable your learners to actually come up with this unique learning artifact.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you,
Go
Elena.
ahead, Shaliza. Yeah.
Why do we want learners to produce unique learning artifacts? In these samples that I'm going to show you, you will also be able to see how all of these 5 characteristics are also applied in all of the ULAs that we are going to see. Okay, so the first one is to authenticate their learning. Again, I'm going to take the example or sample from Finding My Passion. This is a collection. I've collected the sample of one learner from that course, and in this activity, she will achieve this learning outcome. And if you can see there are 5 activities. In the first activity, she will be sharing her hobby. In the second activity, she shared why she enjoyed it and what is the effect that it has on her. And then from these 2 activities, the same as what you see in the page just now, she will come up with the keywords. And in this case, she found that her passion comes from growing things and seeing what becomes of it. And then in the next page, which is my unique purpose page, she will share one quote that she values in her life. So she shared, "Only in the darkness can you see the stars." She also has like a short reflection on why she chose this quote. And once she looked at this and found out what her passion is and thinking about this quote and the reflection on this quote, then only she was able to come up with a mission statement. In this case, her mission statement is to use positivity to better the lives of those around me and inspire others through a quiet and inner strength. So Salina wouldn't be able to come up with this kind of mission statement if she did not go through all of this content. And all of the learners, like these are another sample of a collection of some of the other learners, also came up with different and unique, also personalized mission statement for themselves. So that is how we see the authenticity of their submission. The second one is to enable them to apply the newfound ideas in real life. This is an example of an activity from genetic evolution. It's an activity from a gene course from Sunway University. So in order for them to actually do this activity, they have to go through all of this content. So this content, this content is will actually help them to achieve these 3 outcomes. And so when they look at this activity and when they have went through all of the other contents, then only they would be able to come up with their ideas on why do they think that British are white, why do they think that people from warmer climate have shorter, thicker nose, and also about sickle cell anemia. And also, if you can see, all of the other learners have explained their ideas or thoughts in different ways, and it is based on their understandings and what they have learned from all of this content. So they have all different submission, different way of explaining it. Maybe they have the same idea, but their explanation are based on their own understanding.
I think that is what makes it different. Yeah, because of their own understanding. And they sort of like demonstrate that in all of this posting. Yeah. And sharing as well.
That's true. And it also makes it meaningful and valuable because they know now that they learn like whatever they have learned, the ideas that they have created or the concept that they have created initially from all the pages that they have learned. Now they see this new situation, and now they are able to apply this in this new situation. So it is very meaningful in that sense. Okay, so the third one is to demonstrate learners' understanding and achievement. So this is a collection of unique learning artifacts from a graphic design course. In this course, the learner will have to, so this is the outcome. So the keyword here is graphic design elements. So they have to actually learn the graphic design elements and produce an effective design using that. So from this collection, the learner is showing how they have explored and experiment with the graphic design elements to develop a graphic design project. In this course, the final activity is for them to come up with an advertisement or a project. But this submission is like part one, the first part of the whole project. So if you can see in the submission, in the learner submission, they are experimenting with lines, shapes, balance, typography, and also they have to create or sketch a logo for this company using all of these elements that they have learned. So it is showing how they are moving from the first level to the next level to get into this, creating this. Or if it's looking on the whole course, it's to get them to create that final design project. Okay. You can also see like we have tagged all of these activities to show how the characteristics are apply or are shown in all of these ULAs. I'm just going to call them ULA because to make it shorter, but it's unique learning artifacts. Okay. Okay, the third one is to create unique and diverse solutions. So this is an example. What we're trying to show here is a collection of unique and diverse learning artifacts can allow learner to gain ideas from each other and then maybe come up with a better idea. So it's like a discussion that would get the learners to come up with a better idea, and then so it's not just one learner coming up with this idea. They have to collaborate and interact with the other learners. So this example is from Motivation Station. This is an example from an ice-breaking activity, but you can use this idea to create or learning activities that will help your learners to collaborate and come up with new ideas. In this activity, one learner will have to come up with one word, and then the next learner will come and add another word to create a quote. So if you look at this submission, there's Evelyn coming up with embrace, and then Bimba came to add imperfections, and then Lisa came and add daily. So we have embrace, imperfections, daily. So that can be one quote. But Nikki, she came in before Lisa posted this. So she thinks that embrace imperfection is one quote, one good quote. So she created a graphic using that, and so she has like one quote, embrace imperfections. So it is to show how these learners are actually combining all of these ideas, and it doesn't stop there. It could be, if more learners or more discussions are added there, maybe we can come up with a lot of other quotes or other ideas. Okay, so that's to create unique and diverse solutions. And then we can also use ULA to assess learners' learning progress in a course. A set of unique learning artifacts can help teachers, educators to assess learners' individual progress. So this is what is mentioned by Elena in the characteristic just now, and it is also maybe if we can look at this one. So when we're talking about just now, if this learner is, for example, so because the learners are going to be doing all of these learning activities step by step. So for example, if they are stuck in line and shapes in the beginning, And in the submission, a facilitator or a teacher of the course would be able to actually see that and can help this learner, maybe give feedback to help this learner to move to the next level. So that is how it can help us to decide on the approaches to help learners to move to the next level. And then also to add value to learners. So a collection of unique learning artifacts can reflect learners' skill and capabilities. It can also show how one learner is different or unique from the rest. At OpenLearning, we have portfolio, a feature called portfolio, and you can access this. All of anyone who has OpenLearning account can have access to this. All you have to do is go click on your profile picture and click on portfolio. This is how the portfolio will look like. It will have all of the unique learning artifacts that you have done in all of the courses that you have taken on OpenLearning. So this is my portfolio. It's still loading there. I'm just going to give it a time. Okay, so you will see your profile image there, and then your name, and then about me, portfolio, communities, credentials, blog. So learners would be able to also, in this page, it will also show your credentials, which means everything, all the badges, all the certificates that you have received. And under the portfolio, you will see all of the submissions that you have made in all of the courses that you have taken on OpenLearning. So all of the courses is, if you click here, you'll see all of the courses that you have taken. And then you can also filter that and see, maybe I want to see only on wealth management. And these are the things that I have submitted on wealth management. And these are called the ULA. And I can also manage my portfolio. I can go there and then maybe select those that I want to hide from my portfolio. Maybe I want to only highlight my best work, or I'm applying for a certain job and I will only like to showcase those that is related to that. Also, so I can also share my portfolio by just clicking here, copy link to share, and then I can share this link with anyone, especially maybe my future employer if I am going for an interview and to showcase what my work. Okay, so that is the portfolio. So that is how a learner can actually show that he or she is different from all of the other people, because she can easily portray he or her or his skills and capabilities throughout his work. Okay,
that's why I think it's important that we come back to the characteristics of Oola. Maybe I can give an acronym for it. It'll be like ACAP because it's AACAP, right? So yeah, I think that would be a much easier way, for everyone to remember the characteristics of it. And now that, because we have understood, what are the characteristics of a unique learning artifact, and then why do we need them in our course, especially when it comes to creating open cred courses, that means we are using the framework itself. So with all this in mind, we will now be able to sort of have a clearer understanding about what we mean by unique learning artifact, and holding that thought, so now I think we can move on to the next module where Shaliza will be talking about how can you see the alignment here, and this is what is being explained earlier when it comes to the constructive alignment of it. So Shaliza will also be explaining more on this.
So in all of the sample and examples that we have shown you earlier and that you have looked, and can you see like how they are all aligned, like all the content, learning activities, and the learning artifact are aligned to the learning outcomes. So when the content and learning activities are aligned to the learning outcomes, it will help the learners to actually produce the unique learning artifacts that we require. So that will take us to constructive alignment. I think Elena has also mentioned this in the characteristic. Constructive alignment is a learning design model. Here at OpenLearning, all of us, the learning designers here, we use constructive alignment to design our courses. So maybe you already know about constructive alignment, but we're just going to do like a short recap here. So there are 3 elements here that that we use or we think about when we are designing our course. The first one is, of course, the learning outcome. So when we're thinking about the learning outcome, we'll be thinking about what we want the learners to know, or what will the learners be able to do at the end of this course. And then we start to think about the content and learning activities. So when we are thinking about learning activities, we will think of what kind of content and learning activities that we have to design to help our learners to achieve these intended learning outcomes just now. And then after we have created that, then only we think about the final activity or the assessment. And then we start to think about what kind of assessment that we need to put to measure if the learner has achieved the learning outcomes. Or maybe also think about, how will I know that my learners have actually achieved this learning outcome? So the course outcomes are what we want our learner to achieve. And the learning activities that we design is to demonstrate if the learners have achieved them. And then the outcome and learning activities need to be aligned. And that is the basis of evaluating and verifying if they have achieved or their achievement in this course. So so when all of your contents and activities are aligned to the learning outcomes, the learners would automatically be producing the ULA, the Unique Learning Artifacts. So that is how constructive alignment comes in getting the learners to produce ULA. And then, but then how do we, what kind of content and learning activities, like how do we design learning on our courses to help these learners to produce high quality learning artifacts, right? Or the ULA. So that's where active learning comes in. Do you want to explain more about that, Elena?
Yes. So before I go into that, I think just to echo, what all the speakers and the panelists have been mentioning before this as well. Even our CEO, Adam, he also talked about how, for us to design the online courses, especially like when it comes to micro-credential, I think it's very crucial that all of us take the time to sort of be more thoughtful and more in designing the activities. And especially like what Dr. Aisha mentioned as well yesterday, that the activity itself needs to be aligned in terms of the outcome and what we plan to achieve, and how all of this would actually help learners to be able to demonstrate what they have learned during the learning process, not just the end product of the learning itself, but we also want learners to give them an opportunity to be able to demonstrate what they have learned throughout the entire process itself. So let me just repeat that. We want to also capture learning process during the process, not just the end product of the entire learning. So that's why here in OpenLearning, we encourage our learners to actually be actively involved in their learning process, because that process itself is also very important, and we want them to be able to sort of learn through experience. Call this as an experiential learning. So how does being active and doing the experiential learning itself allow students to construct their own meaning is that, first and foremost, when we create or when we design the activities, we need to think about how we can actually sort of like situate, or we can recap or to represent the learning experience in a form of an application or a problem or a scenario. Once we have done that, then the second step is that we need to provide meaningful learning experience where learners have the opportunity to do experimentation, which is what we have been doing, thus far with all the activities before this, like the Icebreaker. You have a chance, to experiment for yourself. We don't sort of give you the answer and the structure in that sense, but you have a chance to showcase, what you have learned, your creativity, and even in the activities that Shaliza get all of us to be doing, at the excavation part. So all of this is giving us opportunities to experiment with what we have learned, with our current knowledge and what we are going to learn. So that brings us to the third step, where we need to encourage reflection of these experiences. So that's why we always get all of you, to share your experience, to share your reflection. What are your thoughts? What are your takeaways? What have you concluded, from those activities that you have done so far in this workshop? And then we also want to guide those reflections, into meaningful concepts. That's how we are now guiding all of us here, into building that concept of what is unique learning artifact. And then finally, we will then promote the use of this new concept to help all of us, here to make decisions, to solve a problem, or even to come with your own version, of your learning activity that suits for your micro-credential in that sense, but using the concepts that we have already shared today. So we also wanted to sort of show everyone, or to guide everyone to say that, I know that now there's a lot to unpack, because this is like something quite new to some of us. To some of you, you are really very experienced, and this should be just something like a recap in that sense. But all in all, what we are trying to say is that we can create all these learning experiences. That means through active learning. And how do we do active learning is by allowing learners to do experiential learning. And we can do all of this through, Shaliza, can I get you to move the page down a little bit? It's okay, thank you. So that we can do this activity, or we can create this kind of learning activities through maybe providing more of self-directed inquiry kind of activity, problem solving, critical reflection. Again, reflection is a very important component in getting.
Yeah. Elena, we lost
you. I will
you.
off my camera.
Yeah, maybe you want to repeat again.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning, that 5 steps of experiential learning, that is how we actually allow our learners to construct their own meaning. And we can also do it through different kinds of learning activities, such as self-directed inquiry, problem solving, critical thinking, reflection. Again, reflection is the important step, or an important activity to have, because it will then guide your learners into building that new concept that you wanted them to learn. And at the same time, you can also create activities which allow learners to produce digital unique learning artifacts. Now, what do we mean by digital here is that, for example, if let's say you're from the training background, for example, like customer service, you want to train new customer service employees. So how do you do that? Most of the time when you call to a customer service, they will be telling you that this conversation is being recorded for future training purposes. So those are the recording that we can actually get our learners to use, and then produce their own version of how, using this recording as a case study, how do you actually going to sort of be very tactful in addressing your client or your customers' issues or requests. So then you get them to also do a recording of their own. It can either be a form of audio recording, or if you want to, it can be a video recording. So that's why, all this that we are sharing right now, it's not only sort of applicable for academics, but it's also applicable for those of us who are here, who are from the training background. So there's many ways that we can actually do this. So that's why, you create activities that will allow your learners to be able to produce this kind of digital unique learning artifacts. Then I think this would actually help your learners to be able to experience that kind of learning process that you intend them to do so. So again, to sort of like echo what the previous speakers and panelists have been mentioning, we need to spend a little bit more time, in designing our activity to ensure that, it really fits into the constructive alignment and all the other active learning activities that we wanted the learners to have. So with that in mind, I think I will also now move on to the outcome based, but this part I will hand it back to Shaliza so that she can continue on from there.
So if you want to find out more about how can you design, well, like what kind of learning activities that you can create, you can head up to our blog here, and you can find like there's a lot of articles that is about like is showing the examples of what kind of good learning activities that you can create to help your learners to actually come up with unique learning artifacts. So coming to the outcome-based assessment. So now that we have the constructive alignment, we have designed our learning activities using this, and then we're thinking we have all the active learning integrated and embedded in our course. So how do we assess that if our learners are have actually achieved all of these learning outcomes? So we want to be able to assess our learners or evaluate them authentically. So because of that, we have designed our assessment system around the course outcomes. So if you can see, our assessment is an outcome-based assessment, and everything is designed with the course outcome as the core. So we will have all the course outcome line up first as what you see in constructive alignment. And then we will have all of the course content, pages, learning activities. They all can be tagged to the course outcome. So we can have one learning activity tagged to one learning outcome, or it can also be like 2 or 3 learning activities tagged to the same learning outcome, or 2 and 3 learning activities tagged to many different learning outcomes. But all in all, what we're trying to, what we should do is to help to get the learners through all of these learning activities, achieve all of these course outcomes at the end of the course. And all of these learning activities will then be able to help your learners to produce the unique learning artifacts that you want. And when we're talking about assessing the learner, our assessment report is designed with also having the course outcome as the core. So we will have on our assessment report, we will have the course outcome at the top, and then we'll have all the criteria that the learner will have to achieve to get to this course outcome, or the criteria that we want to see in the learner submission. And then we will have all the unique learning artifacts that is tagged to this course outcome appear under this course outcome. So when an assessor is viewing and trying to assess this learner, this assessor will see the course outcome at the top, and then he will also see this collection of learning artifacts submitted by the learner. And he will also have all these criteria, and he will assess whether this learner have achieved this course outcome from there. Okay, so we can have, if we have the course outcome as the base, we can design the course and learning activities. Like one person can design that, the course and content and learning activities, and then another person can design the assessment, be the assessment report designer. So we can have them being created independently and both aligning to the same learning outcomes. So that is how we can assess the unique learning artifacts. So now that we have seen how constructive alignment and how we can use active learning in the learning activities, and also how we can authentically assess the learners' unique learning artifacts. So in the next activity, why we are showing you all of this is because in the next activity, you will be guided to use this step to produce your learning activities that will help your learners to produce the unique learning artifact. So first we will look at the course outcome. Second is the learning artifacts that you want the learners to produce to show that they have achieved this course outcome. And then after that, only you'll start to think about the learning activities to help this learner to produce this learning artifact. So don't worry about that yet. Now we're going to choose one learning outcome. So this one learning outcome can be from your existing course that you're teaching right now, or you have on OpenLearning. And then just select one learning outcome. We don't need to have like all of the learning outcomes. If you don't have that, don't worry, because you can choose from any of the scenarios below. So we have 4 scenarios here. For example, this one. We also have added the course learning outcome for this scenario, and you can just choose one from this. And let's take about 2 to 5 minutes for you to do that. And once you have done that, you can just click the check box here, and then we can proceed to the next activity. Okay, so we have a question, is it?
Yes, we have a question. It's from Tan Lee Chun. Yeah, so his or her is saying that thanks for sharing on Oola. Can we get the details on this from the OpenLearning website? So for this one, I think that because this is the reason why we come to the workshop, where this information is exclusively found in this workshop.
Yes.
So therefore, that's why we wanted all of us to have something to take away from. That's why, hence, we have this workshop as well. But to sort of get a start, to start thinking, about constructive alignment, about active learning and all those, as what Shaliza has already shared previously, there's a lot of different information on our blog, so you can head over there, to find out more as well.
Yep, the blog that the link that we shared before here.
Yeah.
Right.
And yes. And also we have some other workshops that will actually also, guide you in terms of how to create a high quality learning activity and all. We'll talk about that a little bit, but for now, when it comes to the information specifically on Oola, this is exclusive only in this workshop. Yeah.
Yes, for now it's only here. So
yes,
please participate and be with us to do all of these activities, so we can discuss and we can look at each other's submission and learn from each other as well. And you can also ask questions here. Yeah. Okay, shall we move? I think we have you should have one. Just bear in mind that you should have one learning outcome, and then that is you're going to use in the next session. So here we're going to talk about design templates, and I think Elena is going to explain about that.
Yes. So we hope that in the previous activity that you have ticked on the checkbox that you have chosen your scenario. If you have not, then maybe feel free to also use your own if you want to. So coming back to the design template, what OpenLearning offers here is that we actually have a set of different design templates that will help you to allow your students or your learners to produce a unique learning artifact. So what are these design templates? So this design template is basically an idea or a page, sample page that we have created so that it will help you to kickstart your journey in developing the learning activity that will create unique learning artifact. So if let's say you have some questions, like for example here that is being written, that is that as you all are aware, this entire workshop is also sort of like shaped or molded in a way of a scaffolding manner. So if let's say you wanted the similar experience for your learners, then the design template is actually for you, because we do have that like step by step, how you want to scaffold your learners learning process, and at the same time maximizing their engagement. Or maybe you have a question on how do I make sure my content actually creates that kind of social constructivist, active learning, collaborative learning environment, so that my learners are able to get the most out of it. So this is also the way to go. You can actually have a look, and then feel free to also modify it to fit into your content, because as we mentioned, this is just like a sample page that you can use. But all in all, we want all of us here today, to be able to do the constructive alignment to fit into your learning outcomes, your learning content, and the activity itself should be able to produce that unique learning artifact. So that's why I think the most important question that we want all of us to be thinking about is that how do I ensure that my learning activities are of the ACAP, the Oola characteristics. So that's where these design templates will actually come in handy. So as you can see from Shalina's screen, is that there are a few page templates here. Actually, there's more than a few, but yeah, there's one whole set, So what we do is that maybe I can just quickly show you one, which is the first one, connecting the abstract and the concrete. So I think this page template or this design template is actually very useful for those of us who are teaching, very complex concepts. Like for example, the example that's being shown here is the physics page, the physics concept, sorry. Yeah, so first and foremost, what do we need to do here is that there's also steps being written in this design template so that it'll be easy for all of us to actually read through it and follow through. And then that's how you're going to create the activity for your learners. So the first step is actually to introduce the concept. So how do you want to introduce the concept? There are a few examples here as well. Like, you can actually mention the concept that you want them to learn, and then you get them to sort of like think about this concept itself. So, you can have, like for example, down here, example 2, many legal principles, while incredibly important. Okay, in this case, step 1 would involve introducing the law or legal principle being explored, for example. So that's where you actually start to give an instruction or some guidance or description about that concept itself. And then you move on to step 2, where learners are to explore different examples. So here in OpenLearning, we have this feature, which is called the random generator. So we all love this actually, because it's like, you don't know what you're going to get. It's like life is like a box of chocolate, So this random generator is actually, it works in a similar concept where you want to give your learners many different case studies or scenarios. So you want them to be able to choose randomly. So that's why you have this random generator. So what you do is that you create this and then you assign your learners to various different situations. And then taking the example 2 here is that you click the random conflict generator button to be assigned a situation that may or may not involve conflict of interest. So then it relates right back to this on top here, the legal and principles of being explored. Yeah. And then after you get the learners to share their thoughts in the posting section. Yeah. And then finally, again, as we have highlighted throughout this workshop, being able to get your learners to reflect and return back to the concept is a very important thing to do. So that's why we want the step 3 to be another section where you get all of them to sort of just think about these points in example 2, what are the 3 situations that they have in common, what are the rules, come up with another situation that you believe involves a conflict of interest. This is where we want them to be applying, what they have learned from the new concept. So that's how this page template is actually able, or the design template able to help you to come up with new learning activities that will ensure that your learners have the opportunity to produce unique learning artifacts. So if I could get Shaliza to go back to the main page. Thank you, Shaliza. So feel free to explore the rest of the design templates that are available here.
So if you are a course admin, you would be able to access all of this if you go to course setup and the content. And then all you have to do is just click on to add a page, and then you just click here and you will see all of the templates coming out here. And you can either view the template or click to use the template and it will copy and create a page for you.
Yes.
Okay.
So in this course or in this workshop, we have also included a guide on how you want to, or how you can actually use this. So the link is in the course itself as well. And maybe we could also share like 2 of the sample page that's been created using the template, the design template here. So yes, so the first one is actually crowdsource the challenge.
Whoops. Give me a second. Let me go back.
No worries. No worries. Yeah, so in this crowdsource challenge, what we do is that we use the page template or the design template that we have shown earlier, because there is one specifically for crowdsource. So we have actually used that, and then we try to create and to show you how it actually works.
Okay, so in this crowdsource the challenge sample page, it's a sample of an activity on a course, social media for teaching and learning. And I've used the template to create this page, but I've tweaked it a little bit, so it's not all the same, right? And in this case, the step one is for me to get the learner to post a challenge. And so they can post a challenge on what they are facing that can help them to solve by integrating social media. So this is in their teaching, if they want to do something and they want to use social media, but they're not sure how. And then step two is looking at all of these challenges. Another learner will come up with an idea and help this learner or suggest to this learner. So I'm just showing you by posting it by myself. An example of how suggestions that can be given to solve this challenge just now. And then in the third step is the solution. So this learner will look back at the challenge that they have posted or they have, and then they will look at all of the suggestions given and then maybe combine ideas or create new ideas. And then they will come out with their three solutions and methods on how they can use social media in their teaching and learning. So that's one example. And maybe we have another example here that we can show, Elena.
Yes, can you please click on the last one? Yes. Right. So this is another example that I've created. Again, I'm sorry because my background is in psychology, so I'm just going to use an example from psychology. So this is basically what I would envision. Let's say I have a course in psychology, so I want to welcome all my learners. So this is like the welcoming page. And then again, I'm a big fan of using Icebreaker activity. So this is actually also being built based on that page template, and also the one I do a combination, from the Icebreaker page template and as well as the video. So you can actually look back into it later. So what we do here is that I want to get the learners to start interacting with one another. So what they do is that, in psychology, we love personality tests. So what's a better way than to get everyone to do a personality test? So here, as you can see, there's a button that the learners can actually click onto it, and then they are supposed to do their own personality testing. So yeah, so when they click onto it, then they will be automatically brought to that page, and then they will do it. And then once they are done, they will have a result. Then they will have to share, what is their archetypes. So as you can see, I've already shared a sample there. So my archetype is actually the INFJ. So then I also talk about, do you know about MBTI personality? Before this, yes, because I've done it before. Yeah, and also I agree to a certain extent because my personality archetype has actually changed throughout the years. Then once they have done that, Shalisa, can I get you to move down a little bit? Yes. So now I want them to be a devil's advocate, or maybe that's me for my learners. So after they have done that, and they have shared, what do they think about their own personality testing. So I want them to watch a video. So now this video, spoiler alert, this video is basically a controversial kind of video, So if let's say, your learners actually agree and they love personality testing. So this video itself, it's going to kick them right off from where they are, and then they will start to question whether personality testing is something good or not good. Does it really work? So upon watching this whole video, they might now actually come up with a new concept. So that's why I wanted them to also move down, sorry, Shalisa, where they have to share their rationale right now. Do you still agree with the personality test that you have done earlier upon watching the video? So now here they will actually have to share, what are their thoughts, combining all the elements that they have done in the beginning. So here I actually wrote about, how personality testing sometimes may or may not be accurate, depending on many various different stresses or complex personality nature, and there are many different factors to it. So having this thought in mind, then I will move on to the concept of psychology and all. So that's how I will intend to guide my students into bringing them to the concept of psychology, that it's not as straightforward as we think it is. Yeah, so when you scroll down further, sorry, Chaliza, can I get you to, yeah. So here they will actually be also introduced like to many different topics. So this is like basically to guide them. Like again, I mentioned about scaffolding process. So this is actually to guide them so that they are able to move on and they know what to expect. And all these artifacts that they have produced actually is in combination, it can lead to a unique learning artifact at the end of the course. So this is where the design template comes in handy, because you can actually mix and match to what you think works for your content. Now, with that having said, let's move back to our workshop. And now the magic begins. This is where the magic starts. Now, now that we have gotten all of us here, from step 1 all the way to now, so we want to see for ourselves if you guys are able to also gather whatever that we have talked about, we have discussed, we have shared earlier into creating your own unique learning artifact. So how do we do that? Is that we want to get you guys to create your one learning activity that will produce that unique learning artifact. So I will pass the time back to Shaliza, and she will guide all of us on how we can get this done.
Thank you, Elena. So what I've learned now is that I shouldn't believe in all of the personality tests that I found online.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
Okay. So so now we're going to go into the final activity on this course, on this workshop, where we're going to create at least one learning activity that will help your learners to produce the unique learning artifacts, or ULA. So now that by looking at all of the things that you have seen in this workshop, the constructive alignment and how active learning and all of the samples of the activities that we have shown, you would have realized that learning activities are very crucial in helping your learners to produce the ULA. So when we are designing learning activities, we always ask ourselves or point out to ourselves these questions. Does it connect learners to real world and past knowledge? Does it invite experience and reflection? I think it's the same thing that we have been showing you. It should be learner-centered, and learners should be empowered, and they should be at the center of their experience. So those are the things I think that you can see in all of the activities that we showed you. Like everything, we don't have to have I think most of the pages that you have seen do not have a lot of content, but rather it has like a lot of activities of guide or guiding activities to help the learners to actually get to the to achieve or do something in the course. So and it's also a lot about the learners, like it's very personalized, getting them to reflect on their life experience, and they are always in the center of their experience. And the learners have to always be active in their learning. They should always be doing, talking, discussing, creating, designing, exploring, researching. And then it should also get them to collaborate, interact, being social with each other, give feedback or getting the feedback, and also have discussions. And also, could they be engaged in inquiry or project-based learning? So all of these is something that you need to like bear in your minds when you're designing your learning activities.
Yes.
We also have, for us, the learning designers, when we design our learning activities, we also like at the end of it, we'll also go back to the high quality learning activities criteria here. We have 8 here. It should always be relevant to the outcomes, relevant to topics. It should be interesting, motivating, and fun. It should be interactive and collaborative. Connect with students' world. it should be reflective, it should be meaningful, it should also encourage self-expression. So this way, then the learners would be able to produce the unique learning artifacts. And we also want those to be high quality, so that the learner will be able to achieve something, or achieve the course learning outcomes, of course. And so by having all this in mind, let's look at the 3-step process to designing learning activities with unique learning artifacts. So now that you have chosen the one learning outcome earlier, we're going to use that, and you're going to use that to brainstorm the learning activities. We have, so the first thing that you have to do here in this activity, final piece of the puzzle, is to download this 3-step process to Oola. You can just click here to download this template. And there will be like the steps in the templates. The 3 steps are going to be in the template, where it will guide you to create the learning activities. So I'm just going to explain to you the 3 steps there. So the first one is to state your learning outcome, the one that you have chosen just now. Just put it here. And then the second one is think of all the learning artifacts that you want to see your learners produce to achieve this learning outcome. And then the third one is, then only you will, by looking at all this unique learning artifact that you want the learners to produce, you will brainstorm your learning activities. So I'm going to show you, I've also provided the characteristics of Oola. So when you are brainstorming, you will then have to think about whether your learners will be able to produce this based on these characteristics. So you can refer to this. I'm going to show you the sample, or how I did this. So this is an example from the graphic design course earlier. The learning outcome that we have here is apply the graphic design elements as what you've seen before. And then the unique learning artifacts that I want the learners to produce is, I need to see if they can give an opinion on how lines, shapes, and textures are used in a given design. I need them to produce one sketch of a company logo using the elements that they have learned. I need them to then share some images of suitable font ideas. And then lastly, they should be able to produce one advertisement to promote a business. So all of these are the things that I need for them to see whether my learners have achieved this. And then I will start to design my learning activities, or brainstorm my learning activities. For the first one, when they have to give opinion, I think they should be in a group discussion where they can discuss how lines, shapes, and textures are used in 3 samples design given. So I'm going to give them 3 samples design, and then they will have like maybe a few groups of discussion, and then they can discuss how they think these elements are used in this sample design. And then after that, they should have like an individual reflection. So by looking at what they have discussed, or maybe what the other groups have discussed and talk about, and then they will come up with their own reflection, which will be what they think about lines, shapes, and textures. And then in this, I think in this course, I should have one main project, and then the learners will be doing this project. And for the one sketch of company logo, they will do in task 1, where they will sketch a company logo using the graphic design elements that they have learned. And then for the second task, they will have to suggest 3 types of suitable fonts for the company and explain the reason of the suggestion. So now they have a company that they have to think about, and they have to think about the theme for this company to come up with these 3 types of suitable fonts. And then lastly, they will be given a scenario, maybe assigned randomly. Maybe I can use the random selector that I saw just now, and then design one advertisement for their client based on this scenario. So that's how I'm doing it. But you can do it differently. You can be creative. So all you have to do is, again, download this template, and then open it and write your activity, follow the steps to create your learning activities there. And then once you have done that, you can come back and share your template here. right? Just click here and upload your file. And then if we have time, we can take some time to look at the learning activities. Once everyone has shared, it will appear here, right? And we can all try to give feedback to each other. So how long should we do this activity? We are now, it's 11:20. Can we take about, do you think 10, 15 minutes
10,
is
15
okay? Okay. So let's try 10, 15 minutes for now. And we're going to give you some time to do that. And then I'm going to start refreshing the screen after 5 minutes.
So we hope that all of us have, applied whatever that we have shared earlier, in this activity, because this is actually where we will put the concepts into application. We want to see, that you are able to actually create your own learning activity that is aligned to your content, to your course outcome, and then it will also then produce the unique learning artifact that we are all here for.
And also, sorry, Elena, and also you can, now is the time where you can ask us anything in the chat, even if it's regarding the creating the learning activities. Just ask your questions now.
Yes.
We are here to answer you.
Which one is asking a question? May I know where can I download the template? The template is already in the course.
If you are in the course, just come to this page, the unique learning artifact in making, and then you can scroll down and download. Just click here to download the template. Maybe I should give the link to this page in the chat box. Yep. Thank you, Wei Chuan, for asking. So that is the link that I've provided there. So just click on the link, scroll down, and you'll see this download, the 3-step process for ULA. Click there and you'll be able to download the template.
Most welcome.
You're welcome.
We hope that this template would actually be more structured way for all of us to start thinking purposefully and thoughtfully, about our learning activities. So that's why we have created this template, so that all of us are able to use it anytime, until to the point that where it becomes very natural to you, then you may not need to use this template. But to us, I myself, I actually still do this. I still actually use the template. Not exactly the same template as this, but I do have, like, I need to jot down my thoughts, what are the learning activities, what are the learning outcomes, how can I create that constructive alignment that we have been talking about. So it's not just those of you who are creating a course, like even us, as the learning designers, we are also still using the same
using the same one.
Yes.
I also saw that Prof Aisha yesterday. She shared how she was showing how the learning outcomes, and then they are creating the criteria for they were thinking about the learning evidence that they want the learners to produce, then only create the criteria. I think we are having the same process there, where we think about what we want the learners to submit first, and then we think about how we can make those into learning activities. I mean, how we can get the learners to submit that. But also when we are designing learning activities, we want to think of how it can be motivating, how it can be fun. Those are the things that we integrate when we are thinking about the learning activities.
Yeah. So also, I think, as all of us always say, designing an online course is both an art and science. Yeah, an art because you need to think about what makes it fun and engaging for your learners, but at the same time, it's a science because you need to think about a lot of different things that go into it. So it's not just like you pluck it out from thin air, it's a science because you have to create that kind of constructive alignment, that it has to be aligned, it has to be authentic. So there are certain characteristics that to guide how successful your course will be when you're able to create this kind of learning activities that enable your students to produce those unique learning artifacts. that later they will be able to use to showcase, to future
Yeah,
employers, or maybe they wanted to do further studying, or maybe, even for trainers, this is your sort of like KPIs, or your way to monitor the progress of the learners, like before and after your training. This is where they are right now before you
yeah,
start your training, and then this is where they are currently at after your training, so you can see, like, very transparent, and it's very clear. So that's why it's both an art and science. I think it's a
it's true.
very unique combination, right?
Yep. It's definitely an art because everyone will have their own style of designing their
Yeah,
learning activities and courses.
yeah,
And all the words, all the language and the tones that you use in your course will, give a personality to the course. I think
yeah,
that's also the art part of it. And when
yes.
we're talking about the unique learning artifacts that learners produce, it's really is something to write, to like for them to go and show their future employer, or their
Mm,
current employer, that this is what I can do. This is my work. It's a proof.
mm,
I have done this. It's not just
yeah.
I can do this blah blah blah, but there's no proof. But now we have a
Mhm.
proof. I've done this. See, and it's high
Yeah,
quality.
yeah. And this is my learning journey process. You can see it as
Mm,
well, not just by the end product, but you can see throughout the course that when I'm doing
yes.
this is how the knowledge has been transferred, and I have mastered it, and I have demonstrated the entire learning process. That's why we are here today to lead to the unique learning outcome, the final outcome of it.
Yep. Okay.
So I hope that everyone is doing okay.
Yeah. Please ask us questions. We are very, very happy, more than happy to answer your questions.
Mm. Maybe we can try to refresh to see if there's any
Maybe. Let's see.
interesting feature. Yeah.
Not yet. It will take some time because it's
Mm.
quite a lot of steps there, like 3
Mm.
steps, and there's a lot of thinking to do. It's okay. Take your time. If you have any question on if this template is not clear, or any question about the characteristics, you can ask us, or you can ask us in the chat box. You can post it as a Q&A as well.
Mhm.
We also have a lot of like these are the links that we have shared here on examples
Mm.
of active learning activities. If you are like not sure of what kind of learning activities, you can just
Mhm.
take a peek at all of these.
Yeah.
Different ways to create activities is also to show the how you can actually use the widgets, like where you can put the gallery widget, for example, and you can actually, based on how you want the activity to come out, you can adjust your or use the widget accordingly.
Mm. Shaniza,
Mhm.
looking back at your sample, for the Oola, maybe you can just also demonstrate to them, how you'll be doing the group activity, because we do have the widget for group. The activity
Activity.
one, a group. yeah, a group discussion. So I think if most of us here who have been joining us since the very beginning of the symposium, then like for example, yesterday Marilyn actually demonstrated the solution demo in how we can actually use various different widgets. Yeah, so this is where we can actually also use like Microsoft Teams, and then we have widget on where you can create different groups for your learners. So that's how yeah, I think Shaliza can help to achieve that activity one because it's a group discussion.
Yeah, but for this activity, what I'm thinking is that when I say it's a group discussion, I usually would like, this is how I usually like to do it. I don't really assign them to groups, but I would let the learners to actually choose the sample that they want. For example, I would have 3 subpages in the page, and then I could have the learner to, like, I could give the sample. Like here, I said I'm going to give 3 samples of design given. So I'm going to, like, I have the page for the main instruction here, and then I'm going to put like 3 images or sample of the design maybe as the thumbnail, and then the learners can actually choose in between all of these 3 and then click on those pages. And then when they get to that pages, they will see the, a bigger picture of the design that I want them to look at. And then they can just type in, or in the commenting section down there, what do they think about the lines and how lines are used in that design. And they can either do 1 page, or they can go to all 3 pages to look at these samples of answers. And then they will come back to this main page and do their reflection there. I like to use that style because it gets so that would be easier to use if we have an open course, and learners come in not at the same time. And I also want them to be able to feel that they are safe, and they are not assigned to any groups. They can choose which design they want to discuss on. So they have like options on which group that they want to go into. So that's how I plan. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go, like, there are many different ways to actually create that kind of group discussion that you actually intend to have in your course. So yeah, so it's just like an example to show all of us here that when we say group discussion, there's many different ways and understanding that we can actually do this. Yeah, so one is like what Shalita said, maybe you have a different plan that you have in your mind of how this group discussion would go. Or alternatively, you can also use the widgets on our platform, which we already have, that will help you to create that kind of group discussion environment that you're looking for. Yeah.
Yep.
So, any questions so far?
No questions.
Or anyone has submitted?
How are you doing? Let us know how you're doing.
Yeah. Shall we wait for another 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And then maybe we can, if we don't have any submission still, we can just recap. I hope my example here is helping.
Everyone is quietly doing the template.
Hopefully. And I hope that you can or you can also post your, I mean, if you have questions or ideas on how you're doing it and you want to share it with everyone in this course, you can just post it in the commenting section here. We are hoping that we could get like more tips, or we could also learn from you. So if you can share like your activity design tips, or how you are currently, helping your learners to produce the unique learning artifacts, or anything that we can discuss on, it would be great if you can share it with us in the course as well. Because this course is going to be, you would be able to come back to this course anytime and go through the content and activities, and also all the submission that all the other learners did in this course.
Yeah.
Yay, we have one submission. Yay, thank you, Amira.
Thank you, Amira.
We're so happy. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, I'm going to open this and okay. So here is Amira's submission. So Amira's course is 3D decarbonization, decentralization, digitalization, energy. Wow. Okay. So the learning outcome is applications of decarbonization technologies, such as the different types of renewable energy and its conversion scheme in electrical energy networks. Okay. So all of the learning artifacts is to share their opinion on renewable energy, how it works, advantages, share image related to renewable energy around the world. Okay. And then she's designing her learning activities is she will get the learners to go to Google Maps, screenshot some related pictures, and then discuss with it. Oh, that is quite interesting, actually. So they will have to maybe go to Google Maps. I think Google Maps can be, I guess, can be locate where the renewable energy is at around the world, or the source of renewable energy or something like that. And then screenshot those pictures and then post in the course and then discuss with the other learners. That will be very collaborative and will help the other learners to actually interact together to get to thinking about this decarbonization technologies, different types of renewable energy and its conversion. I guess it is one of the activity that Amira can have to get the learners to actually achieve these learning outcomes. What do you think, Elena? Want to say something?
Amira, if I could add on a little bit, it would be maybe to provide the points of discussion, what would you want them to be looking at? That would probably help to guide the learners. So I think that, and then after that, you can also get them to do like a reflection, on what they have learned, not just from their own Google Map. I think the Google Map, it's probably like the hotspots, of where all the renewable energy locations are. So in order to do that, I think we might share different kind of maps, but at the same time, we also want to learn, or we want to get the learners to actually learn from their peers as well. So the points of discussion would be good to have, and to have a reflection session after that. What is their takeaway, like what we did with the icebreaker. So what's their takeaway from this particular activity? Then you can use those reflection to guide them further along, into producing more,
like to the next level, right?
Yes.
I guess, I guess it could be a very interesting activity when they have to go to Google Maps, because I feel like Google Map there's a lot of things that you can actually find on Google Maps. Like even the weirdest thing that you can find there. But I guess it could be like the first activity that Amira can have for her learners to like introduce or get them to start going into the topic. And then maybe after that, I think Amira is planning to have like some content on teaching them about these carbonization technologies. Or maybe also from this discussion or reflection that Alina mentioned just now, they can have they can see the different types of renewable energy, and maybe also then like maybe the next step is to get them to learn about the conversion scheme in electrical energy network, and then move on to the next activity that will help them to apply all this. Okay.
I think this is good. Like, you slowly build up what the learners are being expected to do. And you slowly guide them into producing those unique learning artifacts. Thank you, Amira.
Thank you, Amira. Yes, thank you. We really appreciate your sharing, and it's actually a very interesting activity. Okay, let's see if we have, we have a few more. We have Atika here. Let's look at Atika's first.
Be your own chef.
I'm just going to reload. Okay, so be your own chef. I think Atika, is Atika inspired by our egg activity in the beginning?
I think so. The cooking challenge. Probably she secretly wanted to be a master chef, Malaysia.
Yes. Okay, Atika, thank you very much for sharing. We really appreciate this. So she has a few outcomes: differentiate the usage of ingredients and kitchen equipment, prepare suitable ingredients, apply the proper technique for the various cut of meat, seafood, vegetable, and fruits. Wow. Okay, and then think of all the learning artifacts. Yes, how to cut meat. Okay, think of all the learning artifacts. So making a short cooking show. Wow. I guess this is like the final one, like using the ingredients and equipment chosen, and make a simple dish using the chosen protein and showcase their proper technique. So it's like showing all of this learning outcome in this one unique learning artifacts. And the activity will be a step-by-step activity where the learners have to first choose some ingredients and kitchen tools. From there, the next step is for them to choose their protein and vegetable and learn and show proper technique to prepare them. Finally, they have to cook it while recording the process and share it with the other learners. So it's like one video recording documenting the step from the beginning to the end. Is it? I feel like it's that way because it's to show how they are able to do all of this. So it's like
yes, Atika said. Yes, it is.
Thank you, Atika. It's so interesting. I am imagining that the learners could actually, like at the end of it, like they'll have like a tutorial of how to cook something, and it could be like posted even on YouTube, and it's like a new recipe, and this is how you cook it, and this is how you cut the meat, blah blah blah. It's so interesting.
I think this is very in trend, with the TikTok. So if let's say those of you who are academics, you have learners who are, in that age group, so it's like a TikTok kind of thing, a trend where they try to do everything very fast, so Atika probably would be getting the learners to also do the same thing, from the beginning of cutting the meat in a proper manner and then to cooking it and then to finally producing that entire dish.
Yeah.
So yeah,
she said she's going to have a digital cookbook. Like and I think she really has got the idea from the first activity. It is quite an interesting thing to have like a digital cookbook, because everyone now likes to go to YouTube to learn how to cook new recipes.
I learned from Instagram too. Instagram got a lot of very good recipes.
Okay. So thank you very much, Atika. This is very interesting.
And I think she totally reflected, the entire outcome of that unique learning artifact. In this one activity, yes, it looks big. But because if you imagine that, I'm assuming that Atika is going to do this, towards the end of the course. So this would be a way where you can get learners to demonstrate what they have learned from the very beginning all the way towards the end, and producing that one unique learning artifact that encompasses all the characteristics of ACAP, the align, authentic, create, and then you apply, and finally the progress. So I think this is a very good example that you can showcase, allow your learners to showcase that, oh, I have learned all of this in this cooking course.
And also it's an example of how you can have only one unique learning artifacts, but it should address all of the learning outcomes. So that's the important point that I think that all of us have to think about here. Like sometimes we have one unique learning artifact. We think it's that one artifact that is required, but we're not addressing all of the learning outcomes. So that one, if you want to produce only one unique learning artifact for the whole course, for your open credit course, it should address all of the learning outcomes. It should help the learners to achieve all of the learning outcomes by producing this.
So there's a few ways to go about it. So one, you can do it like what Atika is doing. You have one activity that can showcase all of the learning outcomes, or we can do it like what Amira did earlier, right? You can just do partial of it, and then you have another activity to supplement, the other learning outcomes that's not achieved. So there's a few ways to go about it.
Yep.
Thank you,
Atika. Okay, so we have
more.
There's more. We have Marshita here. I don't know which one I should click on. Maybe this one first. See. Is it the same one, or did Marshita put like two? Oh, I think it's the same one. Let's just look at this one. Okay, Marshita is going to have I'm not sure. Oh, it's a creative writing for beginners. Okay, so the outcome is to produce at least one piece of original writing to be shared with everyone in the class. Okay. And then learning artifact that she would need is one piece of original writing, can be in the form of article, short story, or anything. And then the learning activities is Wow, that's quite a lot. Writing short prompt activities to guide learners to start their own piece of original writing and unlock their creativity. So it's like one first activity to get them to start being creative, and start their writing practice. The final writing. Writing prompt activity 1, walking down memory lane. She even has the name of the activity. Go through the photo gallery in your mobile phone, select a photo and write about it, describing the circumstances about the photo, who is in the photo, when it was taken, where, what was the occasion. Hey, interesting.
Yeah.
And then next one is receive wisdom. Think of one person who has influenced your life. What did this person say, do? How did it affect your life? Write about this. You may share your writing with your friends, go through your friends' posts and let them know how you feel about the piece that they have shared. So it's like also like a guided one, where they will have to first unlock their creativity and start writing, and then they have to go through the photo gallery. And then who is the photo? So it's like the second step is to start writing about this someone, right? Or the photos or the occasion. And then the step 3
That's
is
another activity.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that is like another writing practice. Or I'm not sure, maybe at the end all of this can be combined together and to produce one writing.
Or
and then
these two, sorry, go ahead, Jenny.
Yeah. No, you go ahead. It's okay.
No, I was just thinking that it could be done like in a few ways. Like maybe one, you can have both of this activity together, and the sharing or the output of this activity, the unique learning artifact can also then be put together into that portfolio. Yeah, then they can actually showcase. I've written about this particular topic, and I've written about the other particular topic. So yeah, it also demonstrates, what they have learned in the process of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
it can also be a proof that this learner is like dynamic in their writings, maybe. Like can write in a lot of different ways or style. I also wanted to say that in this activity, I think the learner will be actually getting the feedback from their peers. So it's a peer feedback activity where the learner would write something and then post there, and then a different the other learners will be giving the feedback, and then maybe I feel like from this activity, like if we have this kind of activity, we can have also after the feedback, you can have that learner to improve their writing or something, or from like a collection of feedback, then you improve your writing, and then you can represent that writing and to show how you have actually improved and how all of this feedback has helped. Or it can also be like the final, like the before the final, where you get all this feedback and then improve, and then that is your final work.
Yeah. So I think Mashita also posted in the chat that the prompt activities are practice writing activities before they start writing on their own. So yeah, like what we mentioned, this can be like the journey of the entire learning process to maybe at the end coming up with that final the topic that they need to write or produce. Yeah. So this is like a very short excerpt, of what they need to produce. So again, this is like a scaffolding manner that we want to bring our learners to slowly come towards the final major unique learning artifact that we want them to produce. Yeah.
Okay, that is very nice.
This is good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you,
everyone.
Mashita.
We really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you everyone for your sharing and posting. So for those of you who have yet to complete this, you can still do it at your own time later. And because, oh wow, we have a few more. Okay, maybe just one more.
Time, one more? Time is catching up. Okay.
I don't know, I'm wary of the time.
Another sorry, yeah. We're so excited when we see, we feel like we want to go through all of it.
Yeah.
So this
Okay,
one
maybe
is
just one more.
okay. This one, Eugene's one. Okay.
Yep.
World's most famous Malaysian dish. Differentiate the usage of ingredients and kitchen equipment. Identify one kitchen equipment. Share how they will handle an ingredient using their home kitchen equipment. Research on a recipe they can prepare at home using the available ingredient and tools at home. Oh, that's interesting, because when you are at home, you would want to use anything that is at home, and that's quite practical. One final product. Cook the final dish. Okay, so learning activity is activity 1. Identify one kitchen equipment in their house and share with the class. Explain what purpose use of the tool. Activity 2, each student will be given a random ingredient based on the given ingredient. Task 1, research on the suitable recipe that would showcase the ingredient. The second one is to record the process of creating the dish as a video. So all of this activity will help the learners to, one is to produce this, the final dish, and kitchen equipment, yes. Research on the recipe, yes. Or wait, but they will be given like different recipes. So it's either they will be given a random, also they will be given a random ingredient, but they have to go and find the recipe. Okay, that's cool. Differentiate the usage of ingredients and kitchen equipment. Yes, I think by all of these activities, they would be able to come to this learning outcome, right?
Yeah.
And it's quite similar to what Atika shared, but we can see that this Eugene has his own way of doing it, and it's a little bit different because it's on the kitchen equipment as well.
And his own twist to it.
Yes. And yeah, the random ingredient is like the secret ingredient, and like the master chef, and then you have to cook this one. So that would be like where the excitement is at. And then, but also the learners, if we can see here, the learners would be like, even though they might be getting the same ingredient, but they would go and find different recipes, and they would come out with different recipe. And all of the video that they will be producing, that the collection of the ULA there will be all different and authentic.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you very much, Eugene.
Thank you. We really appreciate this. Thank you. Okay.
And yes, so because we are very of the time,
yes.
so I think we will continue with the final page, because Shalita has already mentioned that we can take time to go through the activities that have been shared by our peers, and then she has also shared the tips. So we will then move on to the final page.
Yes, final page. Yeah, don't worry, you can always go back there and look at all the submission, and maybe give feedback and ask questions to everyone there. So in the final page, we would like we have come to the reflection station, where we would like to know or what you think about the whole session. So just share with us what you like about the session, which part is the most beneficial to you, what is your one takeaway from this session. And then once you have done that, you can also give us the feedback on our feedback form here. So just click here and you will be directed to the form. Please fill in this to help us improve. And we also would like to show you this program that we have. We have one is the OpenLearning Ambassador program, which there are actually 5 workshops. We have conducted 4, but you can still click here and you can still join in all of these workshops, and do all of the activities there. And for this ambassador, you would be you can be a certified OpenLearning ambassador. Let me just show you here. So for the first workshop, second and third, you will be awarded with course designer. So once you have completed this and I think submitted the task, you get this badge. And then once you have completed this one, you'll get the assessment design and batch. And then the fifth course is on facilitation, and then you'll get the course facilitator. And once you have completed all of this and received these three badges, you will then be certified an Open Learning ambassador. Okay, so that is.
Yeah,
Elena?
I just want to add on. Yes, just want to add on that this ambassador program is mainly targeted for those of us who are very new to the Open Learning platform, or maybe you wanted more guidance on how we can actually create online courses and yeah, like how to use the widgets, how do you want to make sure that your activities are engaging, you know, and producing the different learning artifacts that you need. So this would actually be a good program that we would encourage all of you to take, especially if you're new to Open Learning. Yeah, and by going through all of this, then you will be able to understand more and will be able to create more effective online courses. So that's why there are 5 different series in this one program, as already explained by Shaliza. So take time to go into it and to look into it, and do sign up if you're interested and wanted to know more. Yeah, so all the information are already shared there. And
you can just click here to go to the website to know more. And then the second one is the OpenCred Basic Series conducted by Chandru. I think Chandru has conducted session 1, 2, and 3, but you can still click here and then go to the course, and you will be able to participate and learn from session 1, 2, and 3 because it's still open. And then I think Chandru will be conducting session 4 and 5 soon. Yes, and if you have joined the course, you would be able to get notification also when the next session is coming up. Okay, so with that, I think we have completed all of the pages, but we would also like to answer your questions if you have any. You can post it in the chat, or you can also put it in the Q&A box.
And also, there's a poll that is showing now on your screen. So this is actually for us to get to know you better and to understand if you would like to join our community. So just put your vote whether we want us to sign you up or not at the current moment. Yeah, so we'll really appreciate it if you guys could participate in the poll that is now showing on the screen. Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, I think also about the OpenCred series that just now Shaliza was talking about, that it's conducted by Chandru. I think this will be more targeted to those of us who are actually focusing on creating your own OpenCreds, the micro-credential using our OpenCred framework, and then you want to create courses, the OpenCred courses. So I think this would also be a good course to join, so that you are able to understand more deeply as to how you are able to actually create the OpenCred courses. So feel free to join in both of this if you have the time.
Okay, so looks like we don't have any questions.
Oh yes, Chandru, don't forget there will be another session at 2:30. That is also conducted by our other colleagues, which is Chandru and Kim. So do join us. And at 2 p.m., there will also be a session on Accredible. So she will be talking more and sharing more about that. So don't miss out.
Yes, don't miss out.
We still have a few things lined up for the rest of the day. So do join us in the other session. And Shaliza, do you have anything to add?
I would like to I don't really have anything to add. I would be happy if to answer any of your questions if you have it now. If you don't have it, you can always come back if you want to view, because this session is recorded. We will be uploading the session or the video in this course, which is here. And if after this workshop you still have a lot of questions and you still want to ask those questions, you can just go to parking lot here, and you can post your questions there.
Yes. So the parking lot is designed specifically for all of us who still have questions, after the session. So please feel free to go there and post your question, and we will get back to your question as we can. So with that, I think this wraps up our workshop. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope that it has been beneficial to all of you, and there is some great takeaway from this workshop. Yeah, so we will see you in the other sessions. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Don't forget to join the next session.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.